Welcome to T
and E
with a T. I'm your host, Teresa.
I'm your co-host, Edwin.
And today we're talking about the tragic story of Gabby Petito. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. This episode contains discussion of sensitive topics that may be distressing for some audiences. Please take care while listening, and if these topics are triggering for you, we encourage you to prioritize your well-being. You know how your sister is in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
And, my sister's in a relationship. So thinking about that in the back of your head, have you ever thought about, okay, is a guy good for her? Does he treat her wrong? Does he does he yell at her when he's mad?
I do
If
be
you ever
thinking
think about that?
Yeah.
I think for me, it's scary to even, I don't know, it's scary to even fathom that things like that could happen. Like, say the guy gets really mad and he, yells at her, or he tends to want to put his hands on her, those type of things kind of drive me insane. And it's crazy that those things are very common nowadays, right? Well, at least from what we hear, the stories and stuff like that, there's a lot of things like that that have happened, not just women, but also men. Men can also
It's
get
becoming
into
more common.
it's becoming
to
more
hear
common
things
to
like that.
hear, yes.
Yeah.
Because I believe that was always a thing. But now hearing it and seeing it or
And knowing it's
being
wrong.
in it,
Yeah.
not knowing how to get out in those type of situations is very scary.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, I've never been in a situation where I have been treated bad, physically or anything like that, but it's scary to think that people can be stuck in those type of situations.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, this girl named Gabby Petito, she was in a situation where she was in a relationship, right? And the guy was very nice to everybody. Everybody that she introduced, they all said he's very nice. He's quiet, but he's really nice. He's very respectful, and he seems like a really nice guy.
He's
He
always
seems
the
like a
quiet
very.
ones, huh?
I was quiet. What are you talking about? I don't be. Nah, no, because I be treating you very well. I feed you, and that's why you got a little chubby, and so did I. So we are in a very healthy relationship. But no, with Gabby, um, his name was Brian Laundrie. Her boyfriend, he was always known. Why are you laughing? My fat? Don't look at my fat now. Now I'm insecure. You're mean. Oh, did you hide it?
Trying to make you feel more secure.
That's not making me. That's not making me feel more secure. So yeah, like I said, with Brian Laundrie, he was known as very, sweet, but behind doors, he would treat Gabby in a very malicious way. He would get really angry, very possessive, very jealous of Gabby Petito. He would feel like, nobody can really talk to her, nobody can really hang out with her, no one can be with her besides him. And it became an obsession. They went to travel in the little minivan that they got. Throughout the time that they were traveling, they had gotten the cops called on them, and they were just in many situations like that, many arguments. And she was trying to be a YouTuber at that time, but he didn't really like it. And so eventually got to the point where one day she went missing and nobody could contact her, nobody could reach her, and he ended up back home. And no one knew where Gabby Petito was at. And
He ended up back home?
He ended up back to where he lived and basically left Gabby Petito wherever they were at traveling. And he went back home with the minivan and left her behind. Right? But nobody could reach her, nobody could find her, and no one knew where she was. And Brian wasn't even answering any calls, wasn't letting anybody know. And at that point, people were speculating, what did Brian do? Gabby Petito. So
she probably pulled off leave me here.
That's what he stated. But eventually they ended up finding her body. It was ruled as homicide.
Well, just imagine he left her there and then somebody drives by and they live in the middle of nowhere.
So you're saying that
And
somebody else killed her?
maybe
It's not.
somebody else could have raped her and killed her.
No, nobody
You
raped
know?
her. There was no signs of rape. The only signs was strangulation. Um,
Oh.
we'll talk about it. I'll go more in depth. But the only signs was strangulation, and she was left in the spot where they were last seen. So, and there was many signs. There was also notes left behind from Brian that they found in his notebook because he eventually ended up committing suicide. But like I said, we'll talk about the whole story and I'll explain to you exactly what happened and we'll go more in depth. And I'll talk about the backstories of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie and his family because his family is a horrible, I'm sorry, but they're horrible people. They're the worst
Thank
people
you.
ever. And I don't want to say anything else, but I have a lot of opinions on them. But it's just a lot. It's a lot to really take in. So we'll just jump right in and we'll talk about everything. So I'm going to start with the backstory of Gabby Petito and who she is. Her real name was Gabrielle Venora Petito. Okay, that was her full name. She was born on March 19th, 1999. So she was born in Blue Point, Long Island, New York. So that's not very far from where we're at. We're in Georgia. Her father's name is Joseph Petito, and her mother's name is Nicole, but they call her Nikki. So throughout the time, I'm going to say Nikki instead of Nicole.
Her mom, Nikki.
Her parents, they got divorced whenever she was 6 months.
When
So
who Gabby was
when
6 months?
Gabby Petito was 6 months. And they both remarried around 2005. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So her stepfather is named Jim, and her stepmother is Tara. Okay? So they were all very close. She's very close to her step parents and she's very close to her parents. Her parents are pretty close. They're like friends. And they hang out as a family. So they're all pretty close together and they all consider themselves as parents of Gabby Petito. And Gabby's hobbies was art. She loved art. She was in art class. She was in the art club at school. So she loved all of that. She loved to be creative and she just loved everything that had to do with art, basically. So that was Gabby Petito's thing. In high school, she ended up, being in this group of friends. They were in a band, right? Brian Laundrie was in that group of friends. Brian at that time didn't really have much conversation. They talked, they were friends, but at that time they weren't together. Okay? So that's that. Now, let's talk a little bit about Brian now that we're getting into a conversation about him. So he was born on November 18th, 1997. So he was 2 years older than Gabby. He was born in Northport, Florida. So he's born in Florida. And his father's name is Christopher and his mother's name is Roberta. Sorry, I hate them. I had to say that. Okay. So, like I said, he was in the friend group of Gabby. So they were friends at that time in high school. They just didn't really consider or really see themselves as romantic yet until after high school. So he was very known from friends and family of Gabby Petito. He was very known as very socially awkward. He had a few friends. He was quiet, but he was polite. So he didn't seem like, he seemed odd, I guess, but he was still sweet and kind. And so people didn't really think, didn't really think anything much of it. They were just like, oh, he's just quiet. Maybe he just doesn't, he's not very social with people. And he has a sister that is 10 years older. And also,
Older than all of them?
no, older than him. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he has a sister. So it's just him and his sister
Damn.
that the parents had. So yeah, so Gabby Petito, I did want to go back to that. Gabby Petito was the only daughter of the two parents, of the parents that her real parents, her biological
So
parents.
she was an
She
extra
was the only
spoiled.
one. Yeah, she was very loved. So now we'll get into Brian and Gabby's relationship. So at the time when they got into the relationship, she was 20 and he was 21, but he was going to be turning 22. So Gabby didn't really tell anybody about the relationship. She just felt, I don't know, I guess embarrassed. I'm not 100% sure. Not even the mom really understood or the parents even understood why Gabby Petito or Gabby did not want to tell the parents or tell anyone that she was dating Brian. But she wanted to keep it, kind of more, not a secret, but just more, what's the word? Like private. But, anyways, she hit a relationship, but they started dating around March of 2019. That's when they had started dating. They didn't tell, or she didn't tell the parents until later on. They didn't find out because like mom would always ask her, "Hey, why are you hanging out so much with Brian? Like, are you guys dating?" She's like, "Oh no, we're just friends." And she's like, "Well, it doesn't seem like it. You guys are always hanging out." And she's like, "No, we're just friends." Until one day, Gabby ended up going to her parents and being like, "Hey, I want to move to Florida with Brian." And that's when the mom was like, "Okay, so this is serious. So you guys are dating?" And she's like, "Yeah, we're dating."
She was probably scared to tell her, huh?
I don't know because her and her parents were very like closed. She wasn't like shy or scared to tell them anything. Like it wasn't like their parents were very strict. Like everything was cool, everything was calm. But I guess I don't know, maybe it was just because I don't know, maybe because Brian was really quiet and maybe she didn't think that the parents approved of him, or I don't know what it is, and not even the mom even knew exactly why Gabby didn't want to tell the family. But anyways, so she asked to move to Florida with Brian, which that's where his whole family was. And the mom was like, "Okay, if that's what you want to do." I mean, she was 20 at that time. So she was like, "You can, that if that's what you decide to do, then that's fine." The next day she left, and that was like about 9 months in of their dating life. So they had already been dating 9 months. So that was about around December 2019 is when she left to Florida to live with Brian and his family. Okay.
So how long were they dating until they moved in together?
I said 9 months.
9 months.
Mhm.
Wow.
So it was 9 months.
Imagine moving in with somebody like after a month.
Oh my God. Baby, you make my head itch. Yes, we moved in a month, two
You
weeks
ain't gotta tell
actually.
the whole world.
You the one that said it.
Yeah, I was
Anyways,
saying,
continue.
imagine.
Continue. So about 9 months into dating, she moved in with Brian and his family. So they
His
drove
family,
down. Uh-huh. Why you do that?
because his family isn't good.
Yeah, you'll see. You'll see the whole story and I'll tell you what happens. But anyways, so they ended up driving from New York down to Florida. Now we're going to move into her living in with his parents. So at first, the mom was very nice. The parents were very nice to her. And they were just, yeah, they were very kind. They were very respectful. They accepted her and everything like that. Until one day, Roberta is the mom of Brian. Roberta started being very jealous. Jealous, like she just felt, I don't know, I guess she felt like my son is being taken away or whatever it is. I don't know. But she had like this weird, like obsession with her son. We'll talk about it more because she writes a letter to him. It was just really weird. But she has like this weird jealousy towards Gabby. And like the fact that she would be hanging out with Brian. She didn't like that. Like, that's her that's his girlfriend. Like, she didn't like that they were hanging out so much. She didn't like that they were, doing things together. Like,
It happens. It's
she didn't like that,
jealousy.
right?
Yeah.
And but the way she was acting towards the situation was a little bit weird. Like it's very normal. I've heard about these situations like this with the mom like kind of gets jealous of like the son's girlfriend, but not in a way of like romantic, but in a way it's like my son's being taken away from me. Now I don't have my son. You know what I mean? So it's like a different bond between the mom and the son. But with Roberta, it was like this an obsession. Like if she was like, I don't know, it felt like she was in love with him. Just the way she would just talk, it was just really weird, right? But anyways, like I said, she was getting really jealous and getting really like, I don't know, obsessed with the fact that her son was not hanging out with them or her as much he was hanging out with Gabby, right?
Hmm.
So one day Gabby explained one day that there was a situation where the mom had made this like what was it called? It was like a pie. It was something for dinner. It was like a pie that she made for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody talked about it. Nobody said nothing. Nobody was like, "Oh my god, the pie was really good," or the pie. Nobody acknowledged it basically.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody acknowledged the pie. And for some reason, Roberta felt kind of, I don't know, upset and nobody acknowledged her pie. Nobody said nothing to her pie. So she like w- just closed herself in her room and didn't talk to nobody anymore. And that was included Gabby. So Gabby felt really iffy and felt really weird about the situation. She's like, I don't know how to like, I don't even want to get out of the room. She was scared to even go downstairs. There's these text messages between Gabby and Brian talking about the situation. You can see how anxious she is and how like scared she is in the situation. But I'm going to read the messages to you. So, Gabby to Brian, she says, "Your mom's in a mood, so I don't know what's for dinner." Brian says, "A lot of days were like this when I was growing up, sorry, and it always just blows over." Gabby's like, I was just going grocery shopping." Brian goes, "Just say goodbye to her." Gabby says, "I know, I'm just nervous to walk out of the room. I feel like I did something." Brian says, "Shake my head. I'm ashamed. Say goodbye." So those are the text messages between Gabby and Brian at that day. And the situations that she would go through. So this was an ongoing thing. So now you can see like
The tension.
the tension and just like how much she had to go through like throughout this time and being with her family. She felt nervous, she felt just anxious, and Gabby Petito, from going on to the story, you'll see how anxious she is and how much anxiety she has, really. Yeah, I was going to say I felt a little bit, not the situation of like the mom like so much, but more so of like the fact that I felt anxious around being with the family that I don't know, you know? And I was in like kind of the same situation. I moved in, with you and your family. And I had a lot of already anxiety before then. So like moving in with people that I don't know and having to like, be in their space and having to cook and having to go and, do my laundry and having to not just be in my room, but socialize. It's a lot when it comes to a person that has a lot of anxiety. And so for her having to go these situations and also feeling like, oh, like you're in trouble, it doesn't, for me, I don't like getting in trouble. So maybe that's the situation with Gabby, is like maybe she felt anxious with the fact that she doesn't like getting in trouble. She doesn't want to be the bad kid. She doesn't want to be a bad person. She doesn't want to be in anybody's way. So I think that that's probably the situation that she was going through and what she was feeling. So I kind of can relate to her in that sense. Gabby became uncomfortable throughout that time, and when these moments would happen, and this was very common, like I said. So Gabby's mother received a letter throughout the time that she was living in with Brian. She received a letter that her address was changed. So this is another situation where you can see that the mom was being a little bit weird. Well, we're not 100% sure if this was a mom, but it seems like it, because even Gabby didn't know what was going on. So her address was changed back to New York. But she had changed her address obviously because she moved to Florida since she lives in Florida now. So her address was changed, and her mom was like, "Are you coming back? Like, what's going on?" So she texted her. And these were the text messages. Gabby goes to her mom. "Anyway, I didn't fed," which there's a little bit of typos in the text messages, so just I'm going to read word for word because I don't want to change anything up. So she said, "I didn't fed my mail, but haven't heard from Brian's parents. I wonder if his mom changed my mail, cuz that is weird." The mom goes, "Wait, you didn't do it? Is she going to ship that up here? She definitely hates you." So it seems like, the parents kind of knew the situation with Brian's mom. And Gabby was like feeling really weird because it's like, why it was her address changed? We don't know who changed her address. I didn't see anything. Nobody talked about it. Nobody really said anything about who actually changed her address or what happened with that situation. But it kind of shows a little bit of like her feeling or why she would think that the mom would do it. You know, kind of.
Yeah, it
So kind
made
of.
sense. It
Yeah,
made sense. It's like maybe her mom is getting fed up and she's trying to be petty or trying to tell her to leave without telling her to leave.
by changing your address.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So now we're going to go a little bit into the Gabby and Brian's relationship and how he reacted towards her friends. Okay. So you can see a little bit of his jealousy as well. I think he picked it up from his mom. You'll see why. Okay. So Gabby met this girl named Rose on Bumble Friends.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know how on Bumble they have like this section for friends?
Bumble?
Yeah,
What is Bumble?
it's a dating app. Well, it's more known as a dating app, but it has a friends
Friends
section
feature.
to just make friends.
Okay, okay.
So usually if you're a girl, usually it's a bunch of girls just to make friends with, right? So Gabby met Rose Davis through a Bumble for Friends, and that was in Florida. So she was already in Florida. This was in 2020 when she found Rose on Bumble for Friends, right? They became really close. They got along really well, and that became her best friend. So at least twice a week they would hang out, and this would be like an ongoing thing. And so Gabby Petito was just very, excited and happy because she finally has a friend. To Rose, she was a person that helped her through her hard times. Gabby was very positive. She was very welcoming. She was just a very nice person. If you see like the videos of Gabby, she just seems very bubbly, very happy, very outgoing. And for Rose, that was something that she needed. That she needed someone like that. She needed a friend like that. She would even have Gabby go with her because Rose worked at Domino's. So she would have Gabby ride with her when she would go deliver the pizza. So Gabby would just be sitting in the passenger seat while, Rose is doing her job. And that would be like something that they would do very often. And basically, Gabby was always with her. She just loved her company. And yeah, like they were best friends, right? That's what best friends do. Well, Brian did not like that. Brian just felt like it was just, why are you hanging out with her so much? Like he was like, you're supposed to be, basically, he felt like, okay, well, now someone's taking Gabby away from me. Like Gabby's being taken away from me because her time is being taken up by Rose and not by me. That
It's a
was,
good thing.
I know, but he did not like that. He wanted Gabby right here, next to her. And so Brian was like, okay, I want to meet Rose. So he told Gabby one day, hey, can I meet Rose? Can I meet your friend? So she was like, yeah. So they ended up meeting. They went to like the beach because I watched the Netflix documentary about this whole situation about Gabby Petito. And Rose is in the documentary. And so she talks about the situation, the time when she met Brian, the first day that she met Brian. So they ended up going to the beach. At the beach, she said it felt like it was like a parent watching them, like watching them on a play date. Because he would just be sitting in the bag in his little hammock. He set up his little hammock in the very bag while they were just, at the beach. But Rose stated, oh, he was very nice. She was polite, but he was just quiet and we didn't really talk. So he would just sit there reading his book while they're just, at the beach doing whatever. So that's what Rose was like. Yeah, it just felt like a parent was watching us on a play date. So
That's
that's what
weird. Yeah,
yeah.
he didn't interact or get
No.
to know her or anything like that.
No.
That's
So it
weird.
was just really weird, right? So that's how she felt about the situation. That's what she talks about it in the documentary. So Brian was very manipulative, and that's what at least Rose was stating, because there was little situations where they would want to go out and Brian would do something in order for them not to be able to go out. So it was things like that, right? So one day Gabby and Rose were supposed to go out to line dancing. You know, line dancing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you think is line dancing is. Gabby was supposed to meet Rose at her house so they can go together to wherever they were going line dancing, right? So from Gabby's place to Rose's place, it's about in like 45 minutes, right? Rose was already waiting for an hour and 30 minutes. And she was like, okay, it doesn't take that long to get here. It
How
takes
far away?
45 minutes.
45?
Yeah, 45 minutes to get to
Dang.
my house. And she's already an hour and 30 minutes late. She was like, okay, something is wrong. Rose was like, something is wrong. So let me contact her and see what's going on, right? Rose texts her, are you okay? Gabby goes, hey, yeah, oh my gosh, sorry. I was fighting with Brian. I'm hurrying though. I'm on the way. He stole my wallet. Literally crying. I don't know why. I'm sorry. So, from what Rose was talking about in the documentary about this situation, supposedly Brian had taken her wallet. She was almost to Rose's house when she realized that she didn't have her ID. So she didn't have her wallet. And so she turns around and she goes back because she needs her ID in order to get to the line dancing because I believe they're going to be drinking or
Drinking
whatever,
and stuff,
right?
yeah.
So she needed her ID. So she drives back home, almost at Rose's house, but she drives back home and she gets in a fight with Brian. And Brian basically is not wanting to give her her wallet. He's just making it hard for her to go. She ends up getting her wallet. She ends up going to Rose's house that day and they ended up going. But it's like those type of situations, like he was just making it so difficult for her. Like, why would you do that? Why don't you want to let her go out? I guess because he envied the fact that she had friends, but he didn't have any. Because from what I was hearing in the stories, like he wouldn't go out with his friends. It didn't seem like he would go out with his friends. He was just always at home with his family or Gabby. So I think he just didn't like that she was hanging out with people and he was just there doing nothing. He was afraid that Gabby was going to leave him. And he did not want Gabby to go anywhere. Gabby was only for him. That's what he thought, right?
Mm.
So that's the situation.
It's a little weird.
So now we're going a year and 3 months into the relationship. Brian would shower Gabby with gifts.
Mm.
So he would just if Gabby were to get mad at him or he would make Brian would make Gabby upset, Brian would shower her with gifts. And he would just that's how he would, you know, make it seem like, oh, like
Justify or
yeah,
try to make
justify
up for it.
exactly. But this would make her feel like she didn't deserve him because he's so nice. She was basically did not see the red flags. So she was like, okay, he seems really nice. He seems really sweet. But she was like, I don't deserve him because I'm making him upset. Like, the reason why he's getting upset is because of me. And so that's how she felt. She didn't like that she would make him upset. She didn't like that he would be sad. She didn't like that. So she made it seem like it was her fault. And he
That's not
was
healthy.
exactly. And he was adding on to that because he would shower her with gifts and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that you make me mad or you do this." Like he would manipulate her into thinking that it's her fault that he's acting this way. You know what I mean? So Gabby was starting to feel like I said, it was her fault that he would get mad. And he would use these things against her. He would blind her by his love, his affection, his gifts. And Brian was just doing this on purpose. So Brian one day planned to propose to her. So one day they went camping, and this was already a year and 3 months into the relationship. So one day they went camping and they were just chilling and he was like, wouldn't it be nice for me to propose to you here? Because it was really pretty where they were at. And she was like, oh, it would be really nice. So he gets on one knee and he proposes to her. He doesn't have a ring. He just, asks her to marry him without a ring. When she does
Is
that and
that
he
common?
grabs, I don't know if it's common, but that's how they did it, you know? And So when she does that and he gives her or she gives him her hand, a firefly lands on her ring finger. So that's when they were like, this is
Oh,
meant to be. This is meant to be. And this is, we have to be together. That's a sign, right? I wish that wasn't what they thought, but that's what they thought, right? The family didn't even know that she was proposed to because later on, one day, I think she commented or she posted it or something like that on Instagram. And the mom saw it and the mom was like, wait, you guys are engaged? Like, what? Where's the ring? And she's like, oh no, we're gonna get a ring soon. We don't have the ring yet, so we'll get it soon though. So the parents didn't even know. She didn't tell nobody. Like it was just like it was weird, right? By this time they planned to live their life. So they were like, okay, well, we're engaged now. Let's start our life.
let's get a house. Let's get children.
No. So they wanted to put a pause on the house. They wanted to put a pause on the kids and even on getting married. What they wanted to do is that they wanted to buy a minivan and travel the world first before they get to do all that. So that was their plan. So that's what they decided, right? And so that's what they did. So Gabby wanted to document her whole journey of, the trip and stuff like that. So she wanted to start a YouTube channel. She was like, okay, well, let's do this. Let's, travel the world. And I start a YouTube and I'll edit and do all that. And we'll, we can become YouTubers and make our money off of that. And we can do this for a living. Right. So that was her plan. Brian didn't have no plan. He was just like, I just want to travel. Like that's it. But Gabby had so much more. And
Yeah,
she
she was
wanted to do
smart.
so she wanted to do so much more. Gabby worked extra hours at Taco Bell because she works at Taco Bell. So she worked extra hours in order to pay for this minivan. So she bought it and she put it under her name. So that
Are you
minivan was
sure?
under her name, Taco Bell. So she worked extra hours. She would work at least 50 hours a week.
That's
All
that's a lot.
because she wanted to go and buy her minivan and travel the world. Brian, first of all, did not like that she was working at Taco Bell, did not like that she would be working that many hours because he's like, I want her to be home. I want her to be with me. Like, why isn't she with me? He did not like that. And he even got more mad because now Gabby, after work, she would go to Rose's house because that was her comfort.
Yeah.
That's where she wanted to go. So she would go to Rose's house and they would just be hanging out. She would be sleeping over there and that was her thing. But Brian did not like that. These are text messages between Brian and Gabby. This is a situation where he was talking about the Taco Bell and her working at Taco Bell for those many hours and not being home and all this stuff and then hanging out with Rose. So this kind of shows how Brian was feeling about the situation. So the text messages start with Brian. Brian goes, I'll be happy when I see you, but I'll so pissed. I'm assuming he was trying to say I'm so pissed right now. I fucking hate that you ever worked at Taco Bell with all those low lives. That's what he tells Gabby. He texts her that.
He's one of those low lives.
Yeah. Gabby goes, okay, well, I know, sorry. Brian goes, I don't know why you had to turn into one of them fucking disgusting. So that's what he started, feeling about the
Yeah.
situation. Brian later calls her mom because he was just very upset that she was
Brian
working many.
calls his mom.
Brian calls her mom, Gabby's mom, in New York, because they're in Florida still, in New York, complaining about how Gabby is hanging out with people that are just bad influence and all this stuff. Like, just trying to make it seem like Gabby was doing bad. Gabby was working extra hours to buy this minivan that they are both going to be using. And Gabby is making friends. Why is it so bad? He just wants her to be at home with him miserable. That's what she wants. I mean, he wants her to be. And that's not the case. That's not what Gabby wants, right? So these are text messages between Gabby and Brian after he had called Gabby's mom.
Yeah.
And he goes, Brian, Please, please, please forgive me for calling your mom, but I'm fucked in every aspect of my life now. I just wanted this week to go smoothly. I'm crying so hard in the dumb fucking bathroom typing this. And I know you love me, and I'm so sorry. I worry you'll leave. It's just that I couldn't have my life without you. That's what Brian says to Gabby. Gabby goes, "No, no, honey, I don't want you to be sad today. I love you so much. I'm sorry. I will
Oh,
never leave." So that's how she replied to Brian.
that's nice.
So she, like I said in the beginning, she felt like this was her fault. She felt he manipulated her into thinking that this is your fault. You're making me feel like this, and I'm having to suffer. So she didn't think, oh, this is not me. This is him. Like he's in the wrong. Like he's mentally not okay. She thought she was doing wrong. Does that make sense? So that's why she would reply like that. And she would feel that way. But it's so sad that she would even feel that way because it's like at the end of the day, no, that's not your fault. He's mentally ill and he needs to be checked. Like you're not in the wrong and that is not your problem. So Brian takes her back after she said all of that. Brian goes, "I'm crying right now, but I was just saying how it's so crazy. I was alone for so long and was so happy, but now that I love you so much, every second alone, I'm just stuck with a person I hate." Basically, what he's saying is that he, before her, was fine being alone, but now that he loves her so much and he's met her, him being alone makes him feel miserable. He hates himself and he hates being alone with himself.
Yeah, that boy needs to get some therapy or something.
He needs more than therapy. So,
Yeah,
Gabby,
I think you should love yourself 100%.
before you love
Once you
someone
love
else.
yourself 100% and you're okay with yourself 100%, then you can find somebody because you can damage someone.
Yeah, I never believed that. I never believed in like loving yourself before you love somebody else. And I thought that was very dumb when people would say things like that. But it's very true. It's something that is needed, and you need to be able to be okay with being alone and being by yourself before getting in a relationship.
Because he's gonna probably overwhelm her. Because, like, to be honest with you, in a relationship, everything is about balance because you still have to give yourself some time. You have to give your passion some time. You have to give your family some time, and your partner some time.
Hmm.
And all of those are prioritized. Obviously, you know your partner, yourself, and then your family. You know, and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But yeah, you have to be able to like divide those things because you can't just give all your time to your partner, or you can't just give all your time to yourself, or you can't just because like in a way, Gabby, I see the fault in Gabby. Gabby does not have a fault because she's going to her friend's house. I guess that's her friendship time, but I don't know if this is wrong, but it seems like she's going to her house a lot because you do
But
have a partner. She has a
but you
fiance.
got to understand the situation and how she felt in that situation. She probably, you know how I say, like, when you're my comfort. I want to be around you all the time. Sometimes you'd be like, I need my space. But I'm like, but you're my comfort and you make me feel comfortable. And I want to be with you because that's the only way that I feel at peace. So maybe that's how she felt about her friend. Maybe her peace wasn't Brian,
But
because Brian would stress her out.
that's what Brian felt with Gabby.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is that you gotta see it in the point of view, like she was suffering. She was the victim in the situation. At the end of the day, she was the victim in the
In a
situation.
way, they're both victims, although Brian immorally justified his victimization. But
Well, why
it's
would you
true.
excuse what he
Oh
did?
no,
And
no, no. He's dumb as hell and he's like terrible for doing what he did.
yeah.
But he did suffer.
I mean, obviously he suffered as well, but yeah, like I said,
Because it
Gabby,
does sound like he's suffering and all of that is accumulating and it sounds like, his family didn't really allow him to verbalize it because he was so quiet.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't able to verbalize it. So it sounds like right now what he's saying, he's like, I'm crying and this like that. He wants to be comforted. He doesn't know how to comfort himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I guess he's a victim to his parents and then he's a victim to Gabby. Well, I mean, Gabby has really no fault because she doesn't know any better neither. You know what I mean? How old are they? They're like
They're in their early
20
20s.
something. Yeah. They're young.
Yeah.
So Brian, I mean, he needed help.
Yeah.
He really didn't need help. And you could see the battles going on in his head.
Yeah.
You already see the crazy red flags, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, when you're in a relationship with somebody, and I know this from previous relationship. When you're in a relationship with somebody, you don't see that they're trying to manipulate you. You don't see that they're
Because
trying
love
to.
blinds you.
It blinds you.
Mhm.
It's like from what I heard recently, like when you're in a relationship, you don't see the flags because you're seeing them from this point of view, right? The flags are pointing this way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you don't see them if you're facing them this way. You don't see that they're red. You don't see that they're green. You don't see the flags. You don't see what color they are until you're out of the relationship. Then you shift your view, and now you can see that the flags are red, right? So you don't see them in this point of view. But once you move out of the situation or move
In a
out
different
of the
point of view, yeah.
point of
When you put
view,
yourself in your
you'll see
parents'
it.
shoes, like what
Exactly.
they see in your relationship,
Yeah.
or when your sister, you know,
Yeah.
that's why it's good to communicate. Like you always got to communicate with people. It's like, yeah, like so they can also step into your shoes. You know
And
what I
the
mean?
thing is that Gabby would not tell anybody anything. Gabby would not tell people what was going on in the
You
relationship.
think that's okay? You think
Personally, no, I don't think it's okay, but I think that.
but what about the privacy aspect of it, like not telling the whole world about your problems in your relationship?
What do you mean?
You
Telling the
know
whole
how like you're
world?
not supposed to like tell anybody about your problems in your relationship?
My,
Like you've never heard of that?
no,
Like just keep it at home. Like not share it with the rest of the world.
no. I personally, I, I believe it to a certain extent.
Mhm.
The reason why I say no, I made a
And I
whole
understand.
podcast.
I understand
I made
why
a
though.
whole podcast and a documentary wanting to talk about these things. Why? Because there's a lot of people that don't speak up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't speak up in this type of situations or these type of things because they feel ashamed or they feel scared or they feel like nobody's gonna understand them. Like they feel alone.
Yeah,
And
but
that's what I don't like.
I'm just saying in the aspect of like if you let other people know and they misinterpret you,
Yeah.
you might make the fire bigger.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I guess like we were talking about, like the balance.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to tell them, but you have to tell them in a way where they not only see your
Perspective.
hurt perspective, but your 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 love perspective
Mm-hmm.
and their perspective. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Your partner's perspective.
I mean, to be honest, in every situation, there's going to be many perspective because there's going to be a perspective from Brian. There's going to be a perspective from
Yeah, because
Gabby, from the parents.
is this most of this was the perspective of Gabby, huh?
No, most of this was a perspective between Gabby's friends, Gabby herself, Gabby's parents, Brian's parents. So it's like all around.
So it's everybody's perspective.
Yes, because even in the documentary,
Brian's parents were in the documentary.
no. So the not per se their perspective, but what they were going through because the sister, she doesn't come out in the documentary, but the
Brian's
sister kind
sister.
of talks about it. Yeah, and the articles that I was reading, Brian's sister does come out and speak about the situation. So we are seeing
How does she
perspective.
talk?
Well, we have to get to that. We're not there yet.
Ah, we need to keep going.
Yes, we're having a conversation here. So and so this perspective is from everybody. Right now, these text messages are, between her and Gabby. I mean, sorry, between Brian and Gabby. We're gonna see perspectives to him because we saw like how he was reacting in the situation and what he was thinking.
Yeah, the
And same
actual
thing
text
with him.
messages. Yeah.
Yeah,
At least we do see some part of his perspective.
yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, Brian had his own situation going on, right? Does not justify what he
Oh
did
no,
to
no,
Gabby.
no.
Gabby, I wish she would
That
have
makes it
seen.
understandable, but it's not justifiable.
Yes, but at Gabby, I wish she would have seen the red flags in the relationship, or at least somebody would have told her, or at least she would have told somebody about the situation
Yeah,
to
and
get her
somebody
out
would
of
have
it.
told her the red flags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So honestly, like it's just a really horrible situation that she was in. Okay, but we're gonna continue the text messages. Brian says, I'm crying right now, but I was just saying how it's so crazy. I was alone for so long and was so happy, but now that I love you so much, every second alone, I'm just stuck with the person I hate. Gabby replies, no hate, all love here. That's how Gabby replies to him.
She's trying to change his mindset.
Yeah. So she's trying to be positive, just like how she was doing it with her friend, right? So, she's just trying to be positive. She's trying to bring light into situations, and he's very negative and, very just, he downgrades himself a lot. And she's just trying to pick him up. Right. So he basically enjoyed this. He enjoyed the fact that Gabby was giving in. He enjoyed the fact that she was just like comforting him and being
Type
like,
of shit.
the manipulation was working and he knew that, right? Basically, he wanted to feel like she was very dependent on him and that because she was very independent and he didn't like how independent she was, right? So he's like, I want her to depend on me and me only.
I mean, what's she gonna depend on?
I don't
He
know
doesn't
that.
give her emotional support.
No, but
He
he
doesn't.
thinks
He
that
doesn't give her financial support.
he wants to feel like he's in control of her,
Este cero te puede comer mierda.
So he texted her that he was fixing the van one day. She was at work. He texted her that he was fixing the van, and she didn't text back right away. So we'll see his reaction and how he was reacting throughout the
While she was
relationship.
at work.
While she was at work, right? So Brian goes, "Oh man, you took over the Spotify, but you can't text me back. I miss you so much. You're hurting my feelings." She's at work working
She took over the Spotify.
so supposedly like I'm assuming they share Spotify. So she probably was playing music in her earphones but she never texted him back. She just played music and she took over the Spotify and he saw that. Does that make sense? So he's like, okay, you're able to change your song or take over the Spotify, but you're not able to text me back. You're obviously on your phone. It's like that. You know what I mean? So he told her at the end, I miss you so much. You're hurting my feelings. So obviously that's the manipulation. That's the
Yo,
part
you're
where
hurting my feelings.
I miss you so much.
When he shows that he's in pain, or that she's causing him the pain.
So yeah, so that's the manipulation right there. That's where you can see that he's trying to get her to feel bad because he obviously knows her weakness. Her weakness is she doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. She's a very kind person. He has a big heart. She doesn't want to hurt the person that she loves, his feelings. So and that's what he knows that. So he's using that against her. So that's why he said, I miss you so much. You're hurting my feelings. And so Gabby replies, sorry, I just got service back. I tried to text you, relax. So now Gabby's starting to get fed up. You can obviously see that. These messages show that. So she's starting to get frustrated by this time, and it's starting to click to her. So the friend Rose, she ends up stating that in the documentary when I was watching it, that Gabby would tell her like, I see what's going on. Like she's now seeing that he's very manipulative, that he is trying to get her to feel bad. And you obviously see that in the text messages how different she replies from before.
Yeah.
She doesn't say, I miss you, I'm sorry, like I just got, she does not
This is
doing all
when it
that.
changed.
Now she's trying to change, she's trying to get frustrated. So now we move on to their road trip journey, their van life. So now, they fixed up their van, they have it all ready, and they're gonna go on the road, right? So this was in June 2021. So they were already together for about 2 years. And so by the end of June 2021, beginning of July 2021, they were planning to go on this trip for 4 months. So they were going to travel for 4 months in this little minivan. Gabby's parents, they ended up giving her $200 so that they can spend on,
Food and
emergencies,
everything.
gas, emergencies, anything like that.
Yeah.
So save this for an emergency, basically.
Yeah.
Gabby, in the documentary, Gabby's mom talks about the last time that she saw her. That was the last time she saw her in person.
That's so sad.
Yeah. So Gabby's mom, Nikki was like, she was crying. She hugged me. She said I was the one that had, she said, out of all of the parents, I was the one that had that intimate, moment with Gabby for the last time.
That was the real mom
She,
or the
the
stepmom?
real mom, the biological mom, Nikki. Nikki said that she had this moment with her and that she hugged her, and the hug was so tight. And she's like, and I'll never forget that hug that she gave me. But she said that she just saw her crying, and then the mom was like, why are you crying? And Gabby was just like, I don't know. I don't know. And so the
That's
mom was
sad.
probably, yeah, the mom was probably feeling like she probably was saying,
New
I don't
kind of.
know, because she didn't know if she wanted to go. She probably was just afraid.
Wait, was crying or?
Gabby.
Oh,
Gabby was crying to Nikki, her mom, and her mom was like, "Why are you
I
crying?"
thought the mom was crying.
No, no, no. I mean, obviously she was, but no, the Gabby was crying to her, like crying crying a lot.
Yeah.
And Gabby's mom, Nikki, was like, "Why are you crying?" And Gabby was like, "I don't know. I don't know." So Gabby's mom at that time didn't think, of it, didn't think anything of it. But now that she thinks about the situation and what happened, she's like, she probably just said, I don't know, because she was just didn't know if she actually wanted to go. She was probably afraid because of all the things that she's gone through with Brian. Like, she didn't know, you know? So it was just a lot, but she remembers that moment very vividly, and it makes her so sad to even think about that. How they were able to afford this, Brian and Gabby, because they're early in their early 20s, right? How were they able to afford being 4 months in a minivan with no work,
That's what I was thinking too.
no job, no money? Yeah, I thought about that and I researched it. So I was looking at Reddit comments and stuff like that, and they were talking about it. So at that time was COVID, right? So I don't know if you remember, but we did get like we did get that stimulus check, right? And they were filing their taxes or whatever. So supposedly, from what we're thinking, we're not 100% sure how they were able to provide it, but this is what a lot of people were thinking, like this is probably how they were able to provide their trip and the money that they saved. Obviously, Gabby was working, so she saved up a good money, or she thought to save up a good money to be able
Good
to,
amount of money.
yeah. Brian over here was not saving much. But if we were to think like, okay, that time was COVID. So they both got their stimulus check. So it was about around 1,400 from April 2020. That was the first stimulus check that they got, or we got. And then in December of 2020, we got another 600 and another 1,200 in March 2021. So all that added up would be about 6,400 between the two. Okay, so that's what people are assuming, that's how they were able to save up their money and be able to provide for this whole trip of 4 months. So they have around 6,400 plus whatever Gabby saved up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's what people are thinking. That's what we can assume, at least. So also, they had their parents, so their parents could have like given them a little bit more money. But we're not 100% sure. The mom, and this is something that really made me sad, and I'm like tearing up right now. But I saw this interview. She ended up coming out in an interview of it was called Squeeze. Oh my god, I totally forgot what it was called. Something like that. Squeezed or something like that. But it's basically this two couple, they interviewed her, and she was talking about the situation and everything that happened now after they found out that everything. But she states that she remembers telling him very vividly, she also said that in the documentary, but she says to Brian, you take care of her, keep her safe. And she starts tearing up because she's like, I remember saying that to him, and long, like not to know exactly what was going to happen. So that's very sad, and that really hurt my heart when she was saying that. But anyways, let me continue. So Gabby started her vlogs. They started traveling. Brian didn't like the idea of her vlogging Brian did not, for whatever reason, he
Bruh, this guy
hated it.
Brian.
Yes. So he hated it. He hated that she would want to vlog. Like, he thought it was just stupid. He thought it was dumb. He's like, why are you talking to a camera, basically?
Bro, why in the world is she with him?
Exactly. Exactly. I don't know. But all we don't know Gabby's perspective and what she thought of him, but they had gotten into many arguments because of that. He did not like the fact that she was recording, and it was also caught on camera. Gabby's mom, she had all the clips of the vlogs of her YouTube, her recording the whole entire time, but she didn't get to look through the whole vlogs because obviously, or videos, because it obviously made her really sad to see Gabby with Brian. She ends up giving it to the people that were doing the documentary. They end up looking through the whole videos, and they found little clips of him roll his eyes. He would just seem like he didn't care. Like, he would just look at her like she was weird or stuff like that. And it made me so mad when I would see those things. But yeah, so her mom didn't even see those videos or see those, the side of him until the documentary series came out, and they showed those videos. And so now she was like, dang, like, this is what my daughter was going through. This is who she was with. And he would just roll her eyes at her and stuff like that when she was trying to record, when she was trying to make her YouTube channel, and she would be editing everything. But whatever. So it was just sad that her mom had to see it
Dang.
then and not know about it before. So she would downgrade herself so much in these videos, and in the clips she would just talk about like, oh, I hate, like, I'm not good at this, like, I suck at this, I suck at recording. Like, she would just downgrade herself. Brian would just, he wouldn't say nothing. He'd just be like, you know as a partner, I think if you were there, because you've done this to me, you'd be like, no, but like, just keep trying, like, you got it, like, you're doing good. And he would just be like nothing, wouldn't say nothing to her, just would turn around. And obviously that doesn't feel good. By August 12th, 2021, they're in Utah. They're already 41 days in their trip. They were stopped by the cops. Now, this situation makes me really mad, and it makes everybody very frustrated, because the what is it called, the body cam came out later on and showed how the cops took care of the situation, which they did a horrible job. Horrible job. And if they would have done or went about the situation differently, she probably would have been alive to this day. But I'll
What
explain
happened?
why.
Yeah.
So before they were even stopped, they had gotten a few phone calls by random people. One person stated, hey, I just saw that this couple that's in a van, this guy is slapping the girl. And then they're swerving on the road. So they ended up, taking that in. And then another person said, oh, they were out of the van, and the guy was not letting the girl in the van. Like, he went into the van, but he locked it, and she couldn't get in. And she was crying. And then before that, he was out of the van and he was hitting her. Like, those are the calls that they received, the cops, right? That they received. So now that they are stopped by the cops because they are swerving on the road, as soon as they get stopped, they have this on the body cam, and I can show you later. But as soon as they get stopped, Gabby's crying, and Gabby says, sorry, sorry. I was the one that kind of made him swerve. And they're like, okay, can you get out of the car? And Brian's laughing. Brian's laughing. But I think that's how he copes with, like, anxious or nervous, his nervous, whatever
Yeah, I've seen people
situations.
that do that.
Yeah. But he is laughing. And she's crying. Hysterically, she's crying. Before this, I don't know who it was sent to, but it was a picture that they received or they retrieved from her phone. The cops, the investigators. It was basically a picture of Gabby, her face, and her eye had blood on her eye. Like if I don't know if she was scratched. I don't know if this was blood from her. I don't know if it was blood from him. But you can obviously see that the situation that they were in where was getting aggressive, was being physical, right? So she has that picture. So now this was before they were stopped by the cops. You can't see too much. The video is kind of grainy, but she has this on her face. We know that she has this on her face because of the picture that they retrieved on their phone. And they also stated when Brian gets out, he has scratches on his face. She has a bruise on her arm. Tell me why. While talking to them, seeing how
Yeah, is there something on your cheek here? Looks like did you get hit in the face? Kind of looks like something like hit you in the face. And then over on your arm, shoulder, right here. That's new, huh? It's kind of a new mark.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Can I see the other side of your face? So, what happened here and here?
I'm not sure. It was a. It happened really fast. I was just trying to get in the back of the car, and his backpack was on the back, and it got me.
So the backpack got you? So there's two people that came to us and told us that they saw him hit you. There's two people saying that they saw him punch you. We're just independent witnesses by Moonflower.
Well, to be honest, I definitely hit him first.
Where'd you hit him?
I slapped him in the face.
You slapped him first? And then just on his face?
He gets kind of just shut up.
How many times did you slap him?
Romeo, India, Alpha.
Just a couple.
And then what? And his reaction was to do what?
Yeah, my arm, so I wouldn't slap him.
He just grabbed you?
Yeah.
Did he hit you though? I mean, it's okay if you're saying you hit him, and then I understand if he hit you, but we want to know the truth if he actually hit you.
I guess, yeah, but I hit him first.
Where did he hit you? Don't worry, just be
Well,
honest.
he grabbed my face, just I guess. He didn't hit me in the face, he didn't punch me in the face or anything.
Did he slap your face or what?
Well, he grabbed me with his nail, and I guess that's why it was. I definitely have a cut right here because I could feel it when I touch it. It burns. But
okay. And this gentleman noticed that you had some marks on your neck. Yeah. And she's got some marks on her too.
Gabby was hysterically crying, and the marks on her face, and the marks on her arms, and the scratches on his face, they ruled it as if Brian was the victim in this situation. Like, she was the main aggressor. She was the one that was causing it. That's how they ruled it. And that's what they explained. And they were talking about it as if Brian could have put charges against her. Why? How?
I mean, they don't know anything that we know.
If you see the body cam, you can obviously tell she is not the main aggressor here. The only marks that he has on his face are scratches. But you know when people are trying or hitting you, and as a woman, if someone's hitting you, the only thing that you can do is try to scratch their face because you don't have enough strength as a man to be able to push them off. That's the easiest way to get somebody off of you.
But still,
and the cops should know that.
Yeah, but still, they could have arrested her, and later they could have gone to jail, and they would have been in jail, and then they would have had a judge to actually justify who.
Yeah. Well, obviously,
the actual aggressor.
But the thing is that what makes me mad, cops go through situations like this before. I don't think this is the first situation that they've been through where physical between a couple. I don't think that's the first.
No, heck no.
They talk about it even in the documentary, in the body cam. They show this part. This cop states.
How far do you want to go with this? Why the domestic assault code is there. It's there to protect people, especially the reason why they don't give us discretion on these things is because too many times women who are at risk want to go back to their abuser. They just wanted him to stop, and they don't want to have to be separated. They don't want him charged. They don't want him to go to jail, and then they end up getting worse and worse treatment, and then they end up getting killed. Mm-hmm. In no way, shape, or form that I can perceive does what happened here, a little slap fight between fiancés who love each other, want to be together, can I perceive that this is going to digress into the situation where he's going to be a battered man?
Right.
But then again, I don't have a crystal ball.
He says this on the body cam, and
It's
we
true.
hear it. Yes, but they rule it as she. I mean, no, he is the victim. Why are you going to say that and now rule Brian is the victim? You obviously know what type of situation she could be in, and you do that, and that's how you rule it as?
So she was crying. She had a bruise on the side of her thing, and then she had blood on here, but I'm sure she wiped it off after.
That's what I don't know.
And then
Uh,
he had scratching on his
Yes,
face.
but there's another thing because she explains it. So the whole entire time they're talking to her, they're asking her like, "What's going on? What happened? Did he hit you? Like, let me know." And she says like, "Oh yeah, he hit me, but I hit him first." And she's like,
That's why.
he's like, and then they're like, "Okay, what's on your face?" Because she has marks right here. He's like, "Oh, he grabbed me. He grabbed my face." But it was fine. It's nothing. It's just that I was getting him frustrated. It's the same thing, like what's happening in the relationship, how he manipulates her into thinking that it's her fault. She immediately, as soon as he got out the car, like, you obviously know those are signs of that she is being like abused. Because in every relationship or every toxic relationship, when it's those type of
yes,
situations,
the mental part of it, yes, but the physical and then the moment.
no, when I'm talking about
I
her,
understand what the cops were thinking.
no, baby, no. I'm gonna show you the body cam. Maybe you just don't understand it because you haven't seen the body cam, but you can see that she is not the main aggressor here. She obviously did hit him. That is true. She hit him. She pushed him away. But the way he's explaining it, like the way he talks to the cop, it's like, oh, they're like talking like if they're friends. Yeah, man, she's just crazy. Yeah, man, like I just pushed her off because she was like, she was trying to attack me. That's what he says. And that's how they come up, and the cops are like laughing. Oh yeah, my wife's like that too. My wife has anxiety as well. Like they just had these moments. And while Gabby's in the back seat of the cops asking for her phone because she wants to call her mom, that she's sorry. And that she didn't like she felt like she was just she was crying. She's like, I have anxiety, I'm so sorry, like I don't know what to do. Can I get my phone, can I call my mom? Even a woman,
They didn't let her.
they did. The woman cop was like, let me see if we're allow you to get your phone. But they ended up at the very end, even a woman shows up because those are all men. Many men don't really understand like the feelings of a woman, how they feel in a situation. But even a woman shows up on the scene. And even the woman doesn't tell them, hey, like, no, I think that something is wrong here. I think we need to ask them questions because there are certain questions that you can ask in like those type of situations. You can ask the woman these questions to where it shows that the woman is in an abusive relationship. But they didn't ask those questions. Those are something that you could do in order to identify if she's in a toxic relationship, or an abusive relationship. But those were not done. And the reason why I know this is because
there's
the
been
mom,
a bunch of cases of faking it.
Exactly. Or no, not even that. Like the manipulation. Because now you can see it. She's manipulated into thinking that it's her fault. And even Brian, the way he's talking to the cops, he's making it seem like, oh, she's crazy. As a cop, as a person that has been in situations like this, has seen situations like this,
you had a big point.
Has understood that situations like this
can
when
happen.
You say
it like that, yeah.
And even that makes me believe this more because of what one of that cops said. Remember how I told you that thing where he was like, well, women who are at risk want to go back to their abuser. Yeah.
I remember, yeah.
And then they end up getting killed. It's like they know the situation. They know what could happen, but they're not aware. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
This is not okay.
Yeah.
So they end up saying, okay, so Brian said that he doesn't want to put charges on you to Gabby. Brian just said that he doesn't want to put charges on you, but what we're going to do is we're going to have you split up for the night. So you guys cannot be together. You guys are going to be split up for the night, And so you can be with your van, and we're going to take Brian to a hotel. This makes me so. And this is not a normal hotel. This is a hotel for people that are going through abusive situations.
They have hotels for that?
Yes. So
What?
it's called domestic violence. It's the domestic violence hotel. So if you're not able to get out of a situation, they'll pay for everything and you can stay in here. Does that make sense? So the cops,
It's like a non-profit organization.
So the cops tells Brian, hey, we got you for the night. We'll take you to this hotel for domestic violence. And you don't have to worry about anything. And they tell Gabby, hey, Gabby, you can take your van. You can go to this place and go take a shower, because I know that when my wife is stressed and has a lot of anxiety, a shower really helps her. And they were like, it's about like $5. Well, Brian gets to go to a hotel and shower in his own shower. And he don't have to pay for nothing. Whatever. That's what happened that day. I understand that. Like, if it was true, I get it. But even though the girl, she's still girl. You're gonna let her be in a van by herself in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's not okay.
You're gonna let the man be in a hotel? Like, the man can survive more out in the wilderness than a woman. I mean, not saying anything, but like,
yeah.
there's crazy people out there.
I mean, a woman shouldn't be left out there.
So they found out that from retrieving the text messages from their phones, they ended up meeting that night. They ended up reuniting. So on August 22, 10 days after the situation in Moab, Utah.
Arrest? After the arrest?
They didn't arrest her.
Oh, well, the whole thing.
After the situation in the Moab, Utah, where they were at, the
10
cop
days
situation,
after.
10 days after, Brian flew to back to Florida, because he needed to clear out a storage unit. For whatever reason, he needed to go, right? And he left Gabby in a hotel. So Gabby was now in a hotel by herself.
10 days after the situation?
10 days after the situation that happened, the incident. Okay? So Gabby stayed in this hotel in Utah, and she only stayed there for one night. So Gabby, I guess she already was feeling like, I want to get out of the situation. Like, I already feel like I don't want to be in this relationship. Because Gabby ended up texting her ex. His name was Jackson. Gabby texted her ex and saying, like, hey, can I call you? I know that this is weird for me reaching out to you, but can I call you? So he ended up calling right away. And he was like, hey, what's going on? And she was like, basically, and he's in the documentary, so he talks about this. He was like, so she called me and she said that her and Brian were having an argument, or had an argument. And basically she was insinuating that she had a plan and she was planning to leave, and that she was not having in the situation. And he was like, I think that she called me because she thought the last person that she felt comfortable with was me. Even though, like, their situation with the relationship, they ended because it was, at that time, it just wasn't working out. But they were in a really good relationship.
Yeah.
And so he feels like that's why she reached out to him. So obviously, it was a weird moment, but she just didn't know who else to call. And he's like, and I don't know what was her plan. So that was the end of that. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that situation and what exactly happened, or a little bit more details of what happened in that situation. But I think I'm going to end it off here with part one. This is going to be part one. Part two, we're going to explain a little bit more about the day that she disappeared and what happened that day and all the details that happened afterwards. That would be in part two. But in part one, this is just a little bit about Gabby and the situation that she was in and how much she was suffering. We'll see more in part two with the situation and how it all went down. But it's already sad. It's already sad, and you already can see where this is going in this situation.
Yeah, she's at a point where she's all like SOS.
Yeah.
Like, I see the red flags. Like, I don't think this is a good idea. So, She called someone in emergency.
Yeah, yeah. She called someone for help.
Yeah.
But obviously he thought, he was like, okay, I don't know. She seems like he has the capability to do something. In the phone call, that's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
And so he was just like, okay, just be careful. Like, just be careful. I'm here if you need me. Just call me if you need me. And like I said, we'll talk more about that phone call later on in part 2. But because that's not the last time that she reaches out to him.
But I was so thinking it's like, if Gabby told him Jacob or Jackson,
her ex.
Jackson, all this stuff, I feel like he should have just flew out to
No,
go pick
because
her up.
how did he know? What did he knew? Like, he didn't know, because it made it seem like, from what she was saying in the phone call, it made it seem like he had the capability to do something. From what he said in the documentary, that's what he said. That's what he stated. It sounded like she was trying to tell me that he had the capability to do something, and she needed to plan out how to leave. Like, why would you need a plan to leave? Obviously,
You can't just leave.
You can't just leave. Yeah, so that's why he was like wondering, like, she had a plan. Why would she have a plan? Obviously, it's insinuating that he is capable of doing something, or he's not going to let her go. So he was just like, he didn't know how to help in that situation. I don't know if it was me, like, if I would flow out. I don't know, because, like, what if he ends up hurting her, or like, because I'm going out there and trying to save her, he ends up doing something. I don't know. He sounds
That's
crazy.
just crazy. I'm like, okay, like, what are you supposed to do?
That's the thing.
What are you supposed to do? And like, even further than that, how do you prevent somebody from getting to that mental state?
I think it just, like, it
It's
has to do with your
parenting.
parents. It has to do with your, the people that you hang out with. Like, it just has to do with a lot of things. And how he turned out to be.
There needs to be a school for parents. Like, while the woman is pregnant, they need to go to school.
That would be nice.
For parenting, yes.
But at the end of the day,
Meraki nonprofit pregnancy.
At the end of
I
the
think
day,
I'm for real gonna do that. You know how long I've been wanting to do that?
That would be nice, but at the end of the day, we still don't know. We don't have a book. Like, if people knew,
well,
I believe, okay,
now
but
with
I
the
believe
organization.
if people knew how to take care of every kid, they would already had a book by now. You don't think
Not
that?
every book, but like not every kid, but like the basics.
They have books. I'm not saying like they don't have one.
Who reads?
Exactly.
Besides us.
I don't read, but exactly.
Besides me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, is that not a lot of people have those resources, or don't even go to those resources. So, and then I just think that, there should be a system where they should have people, where people should be allowed to have kids and other people shouldn't. But obviously we can't do that.
No, I don't think so.
Yes, because there's these people that shouldn't have kids, because they be raising them horribly. But obviously, not every parent knows or doesn't have a guide on how to raise their kids. We don't know that because we don't have kids yet. So we're not, we don't know 100% how it is to raise a kid.
Yeah,
and how
it's gonna start in Georgia. To have a kid, you have to go through the Meraki course. And it's gonna be an online course. It's gonna be nonprofit. Don't be thinking I'm trying to get y'all money. But it's gonna be a nonprofit. And you know what?
How
you know
are you
why
gonna get the
that's so
resources,
good?
and how are you gonna be able to teach people?
I know the mayor of Mapleton. We can start in Mapleton.
Who is gonna be teaching these classes?
We're gonna hire therapists from all over the world. We're gonna have different courses, and we're gonna have all different therapists, and all the different therapists are gonna agree on different therapists. You know what I mean? Like, you could choose whoever you want. Like, if you want a lady, but all the different kind of diversified therapists will have to approve of the other classes. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that, and then it's gonna be mandatory from the beginning to be able to do something like that.
Okay.
What do you think?
We'll talk about that more out off the camera, so that we know what we doing. Okay. So,
but that later.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a little bit later in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly think that that's a really good idea. But I really hope you guys enjoy this part 1 of Gabby Petito's story.
Leave a like, comment any of your thoughts, because we want to see your opinion on certain things. like I had a lot of controversial things. I like to think outside of every perspective. Leave a comment on whatever you think your opinion is, and subscribe. And
So stay tuned for part 2 of Gabby Petito's story. Bye.